Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're tracing the absolutely unbelievable rise of a guy who totally redefined what it means to be a modern goalkeeper. We are, of course, talking about the legendary Vincent Enyeama. Now, if you follow football, you definitely know the name. But when you actually look at the data, the sheer scale of his journey, going from local Nigerian clubs all the way to the absolute pinnacle of European success at clubs like Lille and Hapoel, it's just staggering. In this explainer, we're going to take you through the making of a literal wall in front of the goal. 1,062. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is 1,062 minutes. To put that into perspective, that's almost 12 full 90-minute games of top-flight, highly competitive European football in France's Ligue 1, where Vincent Enyeama didn't concede a single goal. Literally not one. Imagine facing some of the absolute most lethal strikers on the planet, week in and week out, and just flat-out refusing to let the ball cross that line. To understand exactly how he pulled off this superhuman feat, we really need to look at the architecture of his entire career.
Part 1, the clean sheet machine. So before we rewind the clock to see how this legend was actually built, let's just look at his absolute peak. We're talking 11 consecutive clean sheets for his club, Lille, during the 2013-2014 season. And listen, this wasn't just some lucky streak. This was a sustained period of total tactical and physical supremacy. Enyeama became a literal wall. Strikers would bear down on him one-on-one, and you could almost see the confidence just drain right out of them. But, the foundation for this European masterclass, it wasn't built in France. It was forged thousands of miles away.
Part 2, rising in Nigerian football. To truly appreciate the magnitude of that League One record, we've got to flash back to his roots in Aviv, Nigeria. His progression through the local Nigerian leagues was swift and honestly utterly dominant. He started out at Ibom Stars in 1999, and his raw reflexes very quickly caught the eye of Enyimba International by 2001, which, by the way, was a massive step up. Fast forward to 2004, and he's suiting up for Iwanyanyanwe. He wasn't just playing in these Nigerian leagues, he was absolutely conquering them step by step and honing the insane agility that would eventually baffle Europe's elite.
Now, his time at Enyimba was nothing short of spectacular. He didn't just win a single Nigerian Premier League title, the guy won 3 in a row from 2001 to 2003. And he seamlessly translated that domestic dominance right onto the continental stage, grabbing consecutive CAF Champions League titles in 2003 and 2004. Just think about how rare it is for a goalkeeper to be named the Player of the Year in a massive continental tournament. Well, Enyeama did it twice. He was, without a doubt, the undisputed king of African club football. But there was a really fascinating little quirk to his game back then.
Get this. During his golden era with Enyimba, despite literally being the best player on the continent, he was consistently substituted right before penalty shootouts. I mean, it's such a deep irony looking back at his early career. Clearly, his coaches either didn't trust his penalty-stopping abilities or maybe they just had some incredibly specific tactical superstition. Enyimba himself later joked about it, saying he had no idea why they did it, but hey, it worked. Obviously, though, that limitation wasn't going to last long, and it perfectly sets the stage for an immense period of character growth that would pretty much flip his game upside down. Part 3, star of Hapoel Tel Aviv. The contrast between his early days and his time in Israel is just mind-blowing. So after a brief stint at Bnei Yehuda, he makes a crucial move to Hapoel Tel Aviv in 2007. And here's the crazy part. The guy who was getting pulled off the pitch before penalty shootouts in Nigeria suddenly becomes his team's designated penalty kicker. You heard that right. The very guy pulling the ball out of his own net just a few years prior was now confidently stepping up to the spot and burying goals himself. Now that is what you call a complete evolution. His impact in Israel seriously cannot be overstated, and the sheer confidence he built there directly fueled his European success later on. When he joined Hapoel in 2007, the team was really struggling, and he practically single-handedly dragged them to safety to avoid relegation. By 2009, he's named the Footballer of the Year in Israel. Again, a massive rarity for a keeper. He pushed them to a league and cup double in 2010. Oh, and yes, as a goalkeeper, he literally scored a penalty against Red Bull Salzburg in the UEFA Champions League qualifiers. He wasn't just a shot stopper anymore, guys. He had become an absolute weapon.
Part 4, making history at Lille.
So by 2011, France comes calling, and this brings our narrative full circle. The formula for his legendary 2013-2014 season wasn't some kind of magic trick. It was highly structured.
First off, after some initial struggles and a quick loan back to Israel at Maccabi Tel Aviv, he returns to Lille and totally secures the trust of the new manager René Girard. Girard makes him the undisputed number one. Second, he forms this borderline telepathic partnership with his two massive center backs Marco Basha and Simon Kjaer. And finally, step 3, protected by that incredibly solid defense, Enyama's cat-like reflexes just let him rack up those 11 consecutive clean sheets. But as we all know, every great run has to end eventually.
114. That is the agonizing reality of just how unbelievably close he came to ultimate immortality. He was a mere 114 minutes short of breaking the all-time League One goalkeeping record of 1,176 minutes, which was set way back in 1993 by Gaetan Huard. Enyama's epic streak was finally snapped in a match against Bordeaux by a super heavily deflected strike from Landry Nguemo in the 27th minute. So yeah, a really curl deflection ended it, but it absolutely cemented his status among the European elite.
Part 5, Super Eagles National Hero. So you've got to wonder, how exactly did all of this incredible club success actually translate to the world stage? I mean, did the pressure of playing for a nation as deeply football-obsessed as Nigeria elevate him, or did it break him? Let's take a look. Well, as it turns out, when the lights were the absolute brightest, Enyama just found another gear completely. Back in 2002, making his competitive debut in the World Cup, he keeps a clean sheet against England. Fast forward to the 2010 World Cup, and he puts on an absolute masterclass against Argentina. We're talking 4 incredible point-blank saves against Lionel Messi alone. He earned man of the match and even drew massive praise from Diego Maradona himself. How cool is that? Then, he captains Nigeria to the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations title, keeping a clean sheet in the final, naturally. And by the 2014 World Cup, he's shutting out both European and Asian teams to push Nigeria right into the second round. Part 6, Legacy of an African Great. Now, as we pull together all the physical and mental elements that built this legendary career, we really have to look at what made him so unique on the pitch. Enyama stood at just 1.80 meters, which is about 5'11 inches. And in the modern game, honestly, that's considered quite short for a top-tier goalkeeper. Because of that, pundits would sometimes question his command of crosses. But man, whatever he lacked in towering height, he more than made up for it with just explosive, raw athleticism. He was incredibly agile, lightning fast rushing off his line, and wildly brave. His dominance in one-on-one situations meant that even if he wasn't a giant in stature, he was an absolute giant inside the penalty box. And all of these totally unique traits culminated in the ultimate recognition. In 2023, the International Federation of Football History and Statistics officially ranked Vincent Enyeama as the greatest African goalkeeper in history. From those early days on the dusty pitches of Aba and Nigeria, to conquering the entire continent with Enyimba, scoring actual goals in Israel, locking down the French league with Lille, and of course, frustrating Lionel Messi on the world stage, his entire journey is just a massive testament to sheer willpower and undeniable talent. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. When you consider his epic rise from local Nigerian clubs to shattering expectations and securing total European dominance, where does Vincent Enyeama truly rank? Not just in Africa, but among the absolute all-time great goalkeepers of the modern era globally. It is definitely a question worth debating. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what makes the greats truly great.